Good evening, everyone. Myself, Shweta Jain, welcome you all on the first program on TechEdge series on emerging technologies for chartered accountants. So before starting formally session, let's put your hands on your heart for the ICI motto.
येष सुप्तेषु जागृति येष सुप्तेषु जागृति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
So technologies are creating an impact on businesses, and how emerging technologies will impact the industry is more difficult than it seems. And looking at the trend, no doubt, very soon we'll see how disparate technologies can be combined together and to create something new or dramatically improve an existing paradigm. So as a business solution provider, we chartered accountant also need to prepare for the changes. And I must appreciate the progressive approach of our young, dynamic, and very energetic chairman WRC, C. Arpit Kabra, that this year we are focusing more on how to effectively use of technology in our professional life. So I would like now to request to our chairman and really want to thank for thinking of this TechEdge series and giving me the opportunity to host this series. Thank you. And now I would like to request you to please address to the participants.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, immediate past secretary, one of the persons who's when technology is to be implemented at WRC, I think we all look up to Shweta madam. So thank you for setting this up. TechEdge series is where we celebrate technology, where we evaluate technology, and where we talk about technology and see how can really we implement this. This year, what we're going to do is, and I welcome CA Dr. Vikram Pandya ji. I think he's one man who's the most in demand, a chartered accountant and a technocrat himself. Talks very passionately about technology everywhere that he goes. In fact, the moment we announced our session on TechEdge series, he has already taken 3 such sessions somewhere else on similar platforms. Now that is the demand. That is what people are looking up to. A small chat with him, you will understand that we are still working on a very, very lower kind of a technology. I think that is what he will unfold. He said that, Arpit, let that be surprise. I'll unfold it during my session. Exactly what all should we embrace for. I think what we are seeing now, it's not even the tip of the iceberg. It is even just a fraction of it. There is a lot to come, more to come. But what at WRC we thought is this year we want to start. We want to invite. We are looking out for speakers who can talk on technology, who can really not only talk but also implement these technologies. So effectively, we are looking for some people who really who are looking at opportunity in automating CA offices. WRC wishes to invite you all, give you a platform, and with mentors like Vikramji and many others, you could come and work around how you could effectively automate CA offices, our small practicing chartered accountants, in one way or the other. See how can we drive impact for them. There'll be a lot of use case studies that Vikramji will talk about, but yes, how can we actually implement them for our offices is something that we are looking up to, and we are keen. And therefore, we are inviting all those people who are passionate about it. In fact, all young chartered accountants who want to set up a career in this profession. As a chartered accountant, they could be the next one of the kind firms wherein they would only work with chartered accountants to automate their offices, to in fact adopt technology. If I were to tell you, design something for CA offices, implement, evaluate, and therefore train those CAs to adopt those technologies. At WRC, we have taken a lot of initiatives. One of the strongest one of the ones that we are very happy about and very glad about is our newsletter. It's a revamped newsletter, and with this, there is something amazing that we have launched is a networking zone. I request all of my friends who are attending in this conference, please look at the networking zone. Please go to the website of wrc-ici.org. I think one of the main reasons that you should look up to this website more than often is every action that we are taking here, you would find it on this website. So the newsletter is one of those places. In that, there's a menu now. Apart from the chairman's message, you will see a menu. There is a miscellaneous zone wherein we are inviting speakers on different topics, be it power automation, be it Power Query, be it data analysis, be it automation, be it using Excel in a very different manner, XYZ. Tomorrow we are having a session here in BKC, a practical session wherein we'll be doing dashboards. We'll be learning. CA Alok Sethi, one of the very renowned names, he will be here. We have booked an IT lab. So people who are interested can come. It's a 3-hour CP program, 10 to 1 tomorrow. And we'll only be talking about dashboards. How can we create one practically? Also, how can we use AI for creating these kind of dashboards? So all of you are invited. As CP guidelines mentioned, no more virtual programs, physical programs. But programs like these where we have to hear someone like Vikramji, I think what we have done is from now on, we'll have physical programs, which will also be available virtually, live Zoom mode, but no CPE, only for learning, only for hearing perspective. So I think looking forward for a very, very exciting times ahead, wherein we all will catch up physically. We are all geared up. The infrastructure is ready at WIRC. All of you feel free to reach out to us, and more than happy if you could fill up, you could look at the networking zone, you could look at the miscellaneous zone and reach out to us on wirc.connect@ici.in and reach out to us for all of your maybe requirements, or that you would like to speak on a particular topic. We'll be more than happy to evaluate that and develop a team which can work professionally for chartered accountants, act as a consultant to these chartered accountants, and try and give them automating solutions. With these words, thank you very much. Have a great learning session. Over to you, Shweta madam.
Thank you, Chairman, for letting us know about the updates and initiatives. So moving further, we have with us CA Vikram Pandya, a very eminent, renowned personality for today's session. He is a Director of FinTech at SPGen School of Global Management, and also heading Research and FinTech Focus VC Fund Verenium Next Gen. He has been a successful banker for more than a decade, where he has made key contribution in financial and investor strategy, business intelligence, balance sheet management, and business development and technology solutions. He has been a visiting faculty at various prestigious global institutes and authored several white paper, research report, and articles on fintech domain. He is founder and director of Association for Emerging Technologies, which is a not-for-profit ecosystem initiative. Also associated as a mentor with various fintech startups across the globe, including Startup Committee at ICAI. He is a fintech ambassador for Maharashtra Government Uday Fintech Platform and part of advisory committee for Rajasthan and Karnataka government. With this brief introduction, I welcome you, Vikram sir, at the platform of WIRC. Really, thank you so much for accepting the invitation and agreeing to be with us today evening. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you. Let's start with today's session. Now let me share my screen. Great. So very quickly, I will start with the concept of digital transformation in general, and then specifically we will focus on AI/ML, given that that is the talk of the town. But we should understand that why even the AI/ML is right now booming, given that you have some of these other technologies which are really ripe in the way that it can work really well with AI/ML infrastructure which is required. So first and foremost, you have APIs. APIs are application programming interface, which allows you to connect to diverse systems or applications. Either it can share the data or it can trigger certain events. And this becomes a standardized way in which you can share the information. Similar to that, you can also integrate multiple systems together. Earlier, you had to create middleware, but using APIs, now you can simply connect multiple things. And you can create as a service model. What do I mean by that? So let's assume I want to create AI as a service or ML as a service. At that point in time, I can use APIs to integrate with some other system or integrate some other system with my system. And that is how I can create AI as a service. Multi-cloud, cloud we all know about, but multi-cloud means that today, if there are 5-10 bigger cloud providers, I can always work with all of them for certain services based on what they are better at. Let's assume I like EC2 instance from Amazon, I can go with them. I can like AI service from Azure, I can go with them. And if I like from Google, let's say GPU module that I like from Google, I can go with them as well. And by doing so, my overall cost goes down while my quality or overall efficiency goes up. Then we have big data. This is a problem statement in a way, where you are working with so huge amount of data with variety, velocity, volume, all those 5 V's as we call it, right? There are so many data points that we are accumulating on a daily basis that we cannot identify the trends out of them, or we cannot identify pattern out of the data. So what is the use of that data? That is the place where we are looking at big data solution like Hadoop and the frameworks which are available, which allows data to get distributed, and then you can do the computation on a distributed environment. Then you have blockchain. Blockchain specifically is a framework in a way which allows you to create trust in untrusted ecosystem. Trust is a cornerstone for any financial transaction as we know it. Today, you require intermediation in order to create that trust. But because of blockchain and technologies which are created on top of blockchain, you are able to remove or reduce number of intermediaries required, and you can create trust within the untrusted ecosystem. Not only that, you can also create incentive mechanism by which you can create self-sustained economy. Then we have edge computing. The idea is that your mobile phone, smartphone is becoming more and more powerful. And devices, IoT devices as we call it, IoT devices are becoming more smarter, more powerful. Earlier, what you used to do, you used to take the data from these devices, send it to the server and process that data at the server end. But there are certain scenarios at the point in which you are collecting the data. At that point, you only need to calculate and compute to get the real-time insight of the data. And the moment you require that, you need to move processing power to the data rather than moving data to the processing power. And that is where edge computing comes into picture. You have today smart cameras, you have smart TVs, etc., where the computing happens at the device level itself. You don't need to send data to the server. In fact, processing will happen. Even this helps you with data protection because you are not sharing all the data. You are only taking data which is required. It can be reporting by exception. You are not collecting all the data. You are just collecting the actionable insights out of the data. And that becomes a very powerful tool. Finally, you have digital twins, as we call it. This is mainly to do simulation. Identifying using IoT devices and other capture devices, you are able to capture all the data points, information related to a system, whether it is a physical system or classical system of any software that you have or human being for that matter. You can create digital twin by consuming the data, enough data points about that system, and then digitally replicating that to make sure that you are able to identify certain things even before that happens. Not only that, you are able to create multiple replicas of that system so that you can try and test. When we talk about digital twin, this is not about cloning as such. This is more about how to leverage the technology to create more and more replica in order to identify and simulate certain issues which may come. And as we will see further, using AI/ML, today you are able to at least digitally clone yourself. How? We will see that. Coming back to the discussion point that we are going to focus mainly on is AI/ML part. We all know about ChatGPT and the way it can answer certain questions, but many people are not aware about how it works, why it works, and what exactly you can do as a chartered accountant mainly. So first and foremost, we will understand two concepts. One is large language model, or LLM. LLM stands for large language model. And whenever we talk about large language model, this is trained on certain data points, right? And in this case, it is trained on English and other language. That's why we call them as a large language model. But to understand large language model, you need to understand two concepts. One is AI versus ML. That is the first thing. And second thing you need to understand is why today, why right now it is growing the way it is growing at, and what is the future in a way. Let's very quickly understand with the example, how do we learn, right? When we as a human being try to learn something, we learn by, first of all, observing. So first step is observe. Then next step is, after you observe, you analyze. Then you create inferences. So you infer. After that, the main process of scientific learning starts, because you don't know whether your inference that you have achieved is a generalized inference or is it a universal truth. You may have certain variations, and based on that variation, your inference may not be correct. So what you do, you start with, you predict or you hypothesize, saying that, okay, in case if this variable changes, if this condition changes, what may happen? That is what you are trying to do. Similar to that, when you are trying to identify what happens after that, right? Once you predict and hypothesize, after that you need to practice, you need to experiment, or you may need to simulate. Because certain times you cannot really practice or experiment on a real world scenario. Let's say I want to identify what may happen if there is a 2000 millimeter rainfall in Mumbai. I can't really test it out in the real world. I need to create a simulation, whether it is a model based simulation, physical model or digital model, doesn't matter, but I need to simulate. Once you do that, you identify what is the output of that, and based on that, you recalibrate or you reconcile with the reality, and there is a feedback loop that you have. So you will continue observing, analyzing, so on and so forth. Now, this part, when we cover, this is what the scientifically learning is all about. When we look at this point, inference is provided by ML algorithm or machine learning algorithm, and AI is nothing but AI1 is equal to ML1 plus ML2 plus ML3, etc. So how do we look at this? Let's assume this is a self-driving car AI. So we call this as a self-driving AI. But to get this AI done, or what is AI in this case? It is the overall intelligence that can help you drive a car. In order to do that, you require ML algorithm 1, which is identifying obstacles, ML algorithm 2, which can be for identifying how quickly to drive, ML algorithm 3 is around how to turn your car or how much pedal to press. All those things are multiple algorithms. So inferences is provided by ML algorithm, and when you combine relevant inferences together to complete some task, that is when we call it as a AI model. So I'm just covering that basic part very clearly so that you can appreciate where we are. And the same thing when you apply to large language model, the objective here is to emulate human conversation. That is what the target is. This is the objective. If you want to emulate human conversation, you need to feed that with large amount of data. Today, when you look at the entire internet that we have, if you feed that to a model, interestingly, that is where you have emergent behavior. Emergent behavior means that you are not planning for certain behavior, but it is resulting out of the complexity of the system. In this case, the system is created using so many neurons. The way we have neurons in our brain, exactly same way, you are creating neurons which are digital neurons. And the moment you train them with large language data sets, you are able to create artificial intelligence capable of doing certain things which you had not planned. So for example, they had never planned that by just giving it English data points and teaching how to converse in English, it was able to converse even in Persian language and some of the other languages. Similar to that, nobody thought that by just giving it language input, it is now able to do mathematical computation as well, or reasoning, logical reasoning. Nobody thought about it. But this is how the models are evolving. So let's now try to understand how large language model is helping you out with something, as you know, is ChatGPT. This is the interface that you all are familiar with. Of course, you will not have something like this because this plugin mode is only available with very few people, researchers and some of the developers. I will show you what it means later, but let's start with the understanding of prompt. What is a prompt? People call this as a prompt engineering, but it is a very fancy word used for very basic thing. Prompt engineering or prompting means that you are trying to ask AI a question or set of instructions that you want to give it to AI in such a manner that AI can do the task that you are providing it to do, and it can give you the result based on your requirement. You want to control the output. You want to control the AI model in a way that you can get your objective achieved or you can get your things done. And that is the prompting. Now, prompting can be as simple as just saying that, okay, I want to type this message. I can simply say, can you help me understand? Now, this is as simple as it can be, right? Let me refresh this page. The session timeout has happened. Here we are. So let's look at this. Can you tell me more about? Okay. So now, as you can see, that it will identify and it will tell you certain things with the examples if I have given that. So let's very quickly look at the output. Everyone knows that this is very basic thing, but now let's assume that I want it to give me examples. Not only that, I want it to help me out with few more concepts, right, which are related concepts. That is where you are trying to control the model. This is not the control. You are simply asking a question and you are getting the output based on whatever you are asking and what is really understood by the AI. But what if we want to control the output, right? How present value of money or time value of money is connected with other branches of accounting and corporate finance. I may want to really understand all those things. And that is what you may need to communicate to the AI. This can be even a business use case, right? I will show you certain business use case as we progress. But the core idea is that we want to understand how to control the conversation with AI. And that is all about prompt engineering. I'm going to write that as a word and sentence that you can remember. Prompt engineering. This is at the core of what we want to achieve. We want to get things done. Let's look at the scenario here. You are saying that I want to know more about this. Along with that, I want to control this, where also share, create, how because we have done this already. I'm just going to go with the next point. Now, this is where it will need to really understand the concept that we are trying to ask, and it should be able to give you ASCII-based tabular representation, which is text only, where it is trying to create how things are connected with other corporate finance related stuff. This is what the control really means. I want to get certain output and I'm able to communicate in the way I need to tell the AI model to do that. So here we go. This is knowledge graph, and it is then explaining how things are. And you can even identify certain things very quickly by looking at this, and you can ask more questions in case you are interested in certain more areas. You can ask certain questions. I can even tell it to further expand the knowledge graph, and I can ask it to tell me how this can be used in robo advisory, how it can be used in asset management, right? All those things I can further ask, right? That is what the conversation is all about. So asking the right question, right? You have God again in front of you, but you don't know what to ask, what kind of blessings to ask, then it is of no use. Similar to that, you need to understand how to communicate with AI, and that art of communication anyone can get, but you need to practice. You need to look at the way in which you can creatively think about getting things done. And not only that, you need to subdivide your problem statement. Don't try to put everything under one single prompt. Maybe you want to subdivide your problem statement in a manner that you can give one by one. Right? Then there is a way in which you can identify certain use cases. Many people, specifically in accountancy profession, you may want to not only rely on the data set that they have trained this model on, right? For example, there is a data cutoff date for this, which is September 2021. Now you may want to get latest data. Not only that, you want to train this on the specific data set. Can you do that? Answer is yes, you can do that. Today, OpenAI has something called as embeddings. And using embedding, you can provide your own PDF file, you can provide your own text file, CSV file, and train the model on that. Not only that, if you have certain tools that you want to specify that, okay, if this is the question in text session, this is how I want to get it done. And if you have such requirement, you can even do fine tuning, what we call as a fine tuning. So there are two more concepts that you should know about. And these two concepts are embeddings and another is fine tuning. I will repeat, what is embeddings? Embedding is where you are giving your documents to the AI and say that, okay, now learn whatever you have learned is fine. Now learn further by looking at my set of documents. And this is where we are saying that, okay, I may not be able to train OpenAI directly, but I may want to create my own set of embeddings. So this becomes a vector database dependent. You have something called as vector database. And fine tuning is where you are creating your own submodel. You are creating your own submodel where you are providing kind of a Q&A instruction and response model where you give certain instructions and the response that you may want. And this becomes supervised machine learning where you give those data sets to the AI and you create your own fine-tuned model, which you can use for certain specific use case. I will show you a couple of examples to start with. So let's say this is still learning right now. Let me see if it is trained. So this is the entire accounting standard, by the way, latest one. I just uploaded before starting. It's still learning. But let's look at this SEBI. For example, last two circulars which were there from SEBI, I have uploaded. It has learned on that. This tool is called getcoded.ai. You can use it. It is free of cost that way. The idea is that once you provide the document in a folder, you can even create a bot which will answer the question only based on the folder that you are creating. By doing so, I can keep on adding more information under the SEBI, all the circulars, or I can do this under RBI folder, whatever I want, right? So this becomes a knowledge base. And by uploading these things under knowledge base, I can ask more questions and it will answer only based on the factual document that I have given. So let's look at a simple scenario. To save time, I have already asked the question, can investor opt out of investment in AI? And you can see the result in front of you. Yes, investor can opt out. XYZ, and then you can see the documents based on which it is giving you the answer. So this becomes factual and tethered to reality in a way. You may not want certain things to go wrong, and that is where again AI becomes very powerful. Because not only ChatGPT, you are not limited to ChatGPT now, but using the same technology, you are able to create embeddings. And by doing that, you are able to create knowledge bases, I have shown you, and then you can converse with those knowledge bases. Right? So for example, this conversation was around open-ended, where this is asking certain questions, which is not there in my entire database. It can still answer that, but it will first provide preference to my knowledge base. And this is another example where I have asked one question, and then if the document is not there, it will say, no, it is not there. What kind of questions are asked in exam? It will give you the idea around what kind of questions are being asked. And you get the overall understanding about set of documents that you are feeding in. Coming back to what other things we can do. Of course, there are similar use cases. For example, this, right? So in this case, all the relevant transcript, phone call transcript and presentation, as we call it, for the various Indian listed companies are provided to AI model. And on that database, we can ask certain questions. Let's assume I want to ask, how was the performance of any company, right? Let's say, look at this company, 5 Paisa. So now it is trying to understand the question. And then it will try to identify from the database what should be the relevant answer. And it will create that answer on the fly. And as we will see, you can even ask multiple entities, right? And it will give you correlated answer with those entities. So it can get more nuanced as we make it more complicated. And the idea behind me demonstrating this is the use cases that you can explore. Now just imagine, right? You can create a robo-advisor. That robo-advisor can understand the risk and reward requirement or risk and return requirement from an individual. How to do that, I will tell you. Let it think while it is thinking. Let me reduce the time taken. So let me go back. Yeah, so it has answered now. You can see this is the data. Perfect, right? So this is, just imagine you going through manually all these documents and getting the answer versus you telling AI what you are trying to get and AI giving you the answer exactly from that particular document or looking across multiple documents, right? And by doing so, you can get precise and right answer. Of course, the implementation part may be one-time effort, but then the fruits that you get is much, much, much better and powerful, right? It is a powerful tool in order to implement anything and everything. Now let's look at one more example of this. As I mentioned, what if you want to create something where you want, let me see if I can show you directly. Okay, let us write it afresh, where I'm saying that you are a robo advisor. You will ask certain indirect questions to the user to understand the risk appetite and return requirements based on books. You will, at the end, you will evaluate the risk and written requirements. Give scope. So now if you look at this, you can understand that this part, even this basically a small prompt, you can see this prompt can be hidden from the user, by the way. And I will show you how to do that as well. But once you hide this prompt, here you are. So here there are certain questions which are getting asked, and it is expecting me to answer those questions. Now, what if I want it to make it less obvious, right? So what I can further do, I can make it the prompt that I'm asking, I can make that prompt in such a manner that it can even further reduce the requirement that I have, right? So let me show you that to you. Here it is. So the prompt for robo-advisor, let's say this is the modified prompt. Rather than generating so many questions, I may want to make sure that I ask more nuanced question. And then I will show you GPT-4. Again, this is not with many people. GPT-4 is much more powerful than what this can do directly or indirectly. Let's go ahead with the current version itself, which is what you use, default GPT 3.5. It's the same version. So here we go. The prompt is your robo-advisor named Smart Invest. You are required to understand users' risk appetite, the same thing. Yeah, so it is asking for certain examples or what is the investment goal. Let's say I will say I would like to retirement planning. This is the open-ended. So this is the great goal. Now, when you look at this specifically, right? So here I am saying that I don't know. Can you ask certain questions that can determine the same? Or I can program it in such a manner that it can even answer that. So here we go. Right? So this is how it will start one by one rather than asking 10 questions at a time. And this becomes, in a way, you can understand this becomes overall a chatbot. You can understand to and fro questions that you can ask, and it can become much more easier for me to then answer one by one all the questions. And you will understand why I'm saying this mode is not that powerful. Let's look at what GPT-4 can do. Now here you can understand it is not doing what you want, and that's why you may need to further enhance your prompt vis-a-vis somewhere I can go and say GPT-4 model, which is much more powerful model, and I can give the same prompt without changing anything. And now you will see the nuanced response that you will get from GPT-4. Now you can understand the difference in what it is asking. It is much more nuanced. Let's say I say 50. Now let's assume I have made the mistake and I want to correct that. I'm currently 38 and I would like to retire at 50. Now it should be able to understand that I had made a mistake. So it should be able to understand. Yes, it is now able to understand that it is a 12-year investment horizon. So let's assume I enter and you can understand I can answer more and more questions and it will generate a detailed plan at the end. So I'm not going through the complete step, but it gives you the idea that it is more nuanced. Not only that, the power of AI is such that it can understand even more complicated tasks. So for example, let's say federal bank deposit rate. If I look at this page, And if I ask you to calculate what is the rate for green deposit, now you will not find green deposit anywhere directly, because there is nothing which is written which will tell you what is the green deposit interest rate. But somewhere at the bottom, you will find here it is written that deposit opened for the period of 2 days will be treated as a green deposit. Now, the moment you look at that, when you look at this, you can understand that only this deposit is a green deposit, and this is the interest rate that you have for the green deposit. Now, interestingly, even if this is given to a normal human, they may find it very difficult to correlate, and give the answer. But the same thing, if you give it to GPT-4, but just by copy pasting it, right, not doing anything else, but if you just copy paste, it can give you that answer very quickly. So let me show you what I mean by this. And yeah, here we go. So green deposit. This is that conversation. I have just copy pasted to save your time. So this is the data I just copy pasted. Given the following information, answer the question raised by the user. And this is the information I have copy pasted as it is, nothing else, right? So the question is, what is the interest rate on green deposit? The interest rate on green deposit, which are deposits open for a period of 2 to 2 days, is 6.6% for the general public and 7.25% for senior citizens. You can understand that this really requires nuanced understanding of what exactly is a table. First of all, there is no table structure. This is like what I have just copy pasted. So it should understand that maybe this interest rate for term deposit effective, then you have period, single deposit, less than this much for general public. And it should be able to understand. Even a human being cannot understand what it means, but it is able to understand that. And then it is able to answer that, okay, first of all, this is the green deposit. This means it is for general public. This means it is for senior citizen. So it can do much more nuanced analysis of the data and can give you the output. Now, not only that, as you will see in the future, how it can work, right? So you can create chatbots which can give you answer like this, right? So hello, this is the accountant GPT which I have created by fine tuning the model. Right now, because of the time, I can show you how to fine tune or change certain thing. But let's assume you create this by providing a prompt. You can do this two ways. One is by providing the prompt, and second thing is by identifying how exactly you can fine tune it, right? Fine tune it with the data that you are giving. So this becomes another use case. Now, when we look at specifically on this, I have just given the instructions. I have purchased Samsung laptop by paying 50,000 rupees through my HDFC Bank account. So this is the entry that it is passing along with the narration. And then I said, my firm has done the credit sales to Mr. Rajan for 5,000 rupees for books. And then it is passing the entry. Not only that, but it now knows that I have bank account with HDFC Bank. So it is saying when you receive the amount that you will do debit HDFC Bank, it understands nominal, personal, real account. And then it says, okay, debit HDFC Bank, credit accounts receivable for 5,000 rupees. And you can see here that payment received from this person. Let's look at the real-time scenario. Let's say I have purchased, so I have given this entry here on my purchased laptop. What should be depreciation entry? Now the issue here is that this is the old conversation. So the session timeout has happened. So let's see what happens. However, I can otherwise again give this and then ask another question and show it to you. Let's see what happens. So I had asked this much before, like April 28th, and now we are on April 27th. Maybe it will not understand the context. I need to give the context again. Let's see. Okay, take few seconds to generate the response. stop and start because yeah, here we are. I'll just ask the same question for the time being. Oh, in fact, it took time, but now you get the answer. This is the earlier response that is generated. Because it is a long response, it took more time. And because it is using GPT-4, it is not using GPT 3.5, which is what we call as a chat GPT. It takes lower time, GPT-4 takes more time. But you can see the SLM method and it understood that it is Samsung laptop. Even from the earlier context, it understood that this is a Samsung laptop. It is understood that it was a 50,000 rupee laptop. And because of that, the accounting entry that it is passed is based on that assumption. So I have now the new question which I typed, it has generated the response and given it to me. Okay, great. So you got the idea that you can create chatbots. There are multiple ways you can create a chatbot. I have used samples to connect with the model, but you can use any model, whatever you want, right? So it depends on your requirement and your use case. Coming back to the next part, where we want to identify how you can use automation. This is the next step, right? And this is where the plugins come into picture. This is not available with the general public, but as you will see, this plugin mode is available under alpha only to certain people and developers, but this is going to come soon to everyone, which means that the way we are doing any commercial transaction will completely change. Just imagine that you are into accounting or auditing, or you are into robo advisory or asset management. When you are giving that solution to your user, today you expect your user to come to your website. Now, gone are the days where you expect them to come to your website and consume your service. In fact, now you can make your service available to Chat GPT itself. How? Let's look at a scenario. So I will say, I would like to travel to Kailash temple from Mumbai on 30th May. Can you share some light and okay. So when you send this query, what is happening now? First of all, it will try to understand what do you mean. By understanding that, it will try to see if you have some plugins which it can use in order to get the information from the website. And not only that, it will try to identify the real-time data that you can then consume from that conversation. Let's wait. It is right now thinking on that. Sure, I have found some flight options from Mumbai to Aurangabad. It understood that Kailash temple is in Aurangabad, as well as hotel options, right? So here we go with the flight options, non-stop flight. It understood that I may really want non-stop flight first, so it is prioritizing on that. It will give couple of 3 options per flight and hotels to save number of tokens generated. Here you can see Air India flight for 499. Another option, price is 40.51 USD. You can book this flight by just clicking here. And this is the future of commerce as we know it. Now, this can be anything and everything. This can be your accounting service. This can be your auditing service, taxation service, as I said, asset management service, consulting service. And the moment you create something like this, it becomes much more robust, the way you can distribute it and people can consume it. So here we go, hotel options, few more options. Let it load. I will not waste your time in this, but you can understand then it can get the context, what I'm asking. It can get the data, fetch the data, give it to you, and then plan it on your behalf. You can do everything by just asking it. This becomes your personal assistant who can sit and help you out with whatever you want. Not only this, there are certain plugins which are coming up, which are helping with complete automation. So by asking it, okay, I want to order pizza, it will even order the pizza for you. Or you can ask, I want to book a flight, it can even book the flight for you. Right now, it is just simply giving you options and you can click manually and book the flight. But then there are automation options further where you can tell it to book a flight for you or book a restaurant for you. This becomes the next level, right? Where the evolution of this entire chat GPT, as we call it, becomes much more powerful with the plugin capability. Today, chat GPT is in a way blind. It does not know anything after September 2021. But with plugins, you have web browsing plugin, you have plugin to even write and execute code. By using these plugins, you are able to get certain things done which otherwise is not possible. Just have a look at certain plugins which are currently available. Again, as I said, this is in alpha. You don't have access. Very few people have the access. I'm a registered researcher and developer, so I have those options with me. You can see what are these options. Wolfram Alpha, fiscal node. This is largest real-time data set on legal, political, and regulatory data set. So all this data set will come under your ChatGPT plugin. Not only that, let's assume Textman. Textman creates a plugin. Then you can just consume that Textman insights into your ChatGPT. You can ask, given a case study, what may happen? Or given the scenario, what kind of case laws I need to apply? And those things are not in future, by the way, it is already happening. They have created something like this, which will come soon when it is released for public. And you will see further that you can create your own data set, right? So as I said, you can just provide it accounting standard, or you can provide certain organization related policies, and you can get certain things done. For example, I have created one specific plugin called, show it to you. So this is test curriculum. This is the plugin, for example. And now this plugin, which I have created under Upskiller, what it does, right? I will not show you completely right now because it will take time, but what it will do, it will generate the curriculum. If I just create a curriculum on XYZ, it will generate that 20, 30, 40 page curriculum for me. By simply asking a question, you are able to get the complete curriculum along with your MCQs and things to read, things to watch, everything. Now, this is where AI becomes really powerful. It gets eyes or insights into the real world. It can get certain other abilities like browsing web, right? And it can give you certain things very quickly. Not only that, there are then agents created. Now, this is one step further. You have certain agents created. These agents, think of them as a robot or a project manager, where you are giving them the project. Now that project manager will hire or recruit 5 more people under him for every task that he thinks may be required to finish the project or achieve the objective. So this agent GPT, think of that as a project manager. He will hire 5 more people under him, and those 5 more people, based on the objective or the task given to them, can hire 5 more people or 4 more people, so and so forth. But because here we are not talking about a physical world, you are looking at a system where agent is hiring more number of agents just by virtually hiring and firing them. Let's look at how you can get it done. So let's look at again, accounting research. You are required to research and summarize in table some of the best practices across the globe for revenue. Okay, so we have given agent a name, accounting research, and we have given you are required to research and summarize in table some of the best practices across the globe. So let's start, deploy the agent. Now you will see how it works. So first of all, it is thinking. It will first generate number of tasks, right? So it will first generate task, and what it will try to do, it will try to identify to get these things done. So current task, utilize natural language processing algorithm to identify and extract relevant information from financial report, accounting standard, and industry publications. generate a comprehensive table comparing revenue recognition practices across different countries. So this is how a human being may think. A project manager, if you give this requirement to him, he may think in this step-by-step method, right? That you need to do this, and after that you need to do this. Now to achieve this objective, it is further thinking what else I need to do. So first task is apply machine learning technique to identify. It has identified, it has done certain things, and it has generated a small table, best practice, description, task completed. First task is done. You can see the tick mark. Then now we are going to go to the next task, so and so forth, and then it will generate the final summary for you. This is more powerful than what you can think, because this is the future where you are hiring and firing multiple agents on the fly. This is where you can get certain things done very quickly, right? Okay, Sripad is asking, while this is running, Sripad is asking, is there a way in which my business website data would higher rank in ChatGPT? No, this is not like Google SEO. So there is no way your business data will rank higher in that, right? As I said, if you want to create a bot which will consider along with other data, your business data, then there's a fine-tuning requirement. Or if you only want to use your website data, then you can create a plugin. And that plugin, when you, let's say a user is asking certain question, based on your plugin, it can automatically fetch answer for your business or from your business. So that will be a way in which you can create it, or you can create a chat bot like this. By doing that, you can give that functionality to your users. But this is not a search engine. Understand what is happening. It is not a search engine. It is generating text based on what exactly is given. And by the way, of course, in a couple of hours, we can't give justice to the topic, but you should really understand how this entire thing works in order to appreciate what exactly can be done. So any which ways, we are planning for a longer masterclass in a way, but let's see how it goes. So those who are interested in learning for, let's say, 12 hours, then we can look at that program. Coming back to this, I'm just stopping the agent because, of course, it will continue for some time. We don't want to waste that much time, so I'm just going to stop it. But you understand how it is working. It is first creating a task, then creating a subtask, finishing certain tasks. You can see, and the last task is getting, you can see further subtask is created for that particular task, so and so forth. So it is going to run through all the tasks and give you the final output. This sometimes I have seen is much more nuanced and better at what the answer can be than any other person that you can hire for any amount for that matter. So this becomes much more powerful tool. There is another question: is plugin is using private data of my business? Will this also be able to ChatGPT to learn and use? Okay, let me tell you that plugin, when you are creating a plugin, the data shared, frankly, is directly from your business to the user. Now, if you are talking about ChatGPT, plugin data directly is not used for training. And always you can remember that your user can opt out if he is not willing to share the data any which ways. But in case you want to keep it absolutely safe, let's assume it is a very proprietary information. Let me stop this agent. So let's assume that is a proprietary information and you don't want that to even go to them. What you can do, you can always create a plugin, which is a private plugin. And that private plugin, people in future will be able to directly install on an enterprise level. Let's assume you may want to create a plugin only for your company. So you can see here, install an unverified plugin. That private plugin or unverified plugin can be uploaded by your user, and that will be 100% safe in a way. The way you want it can be installed within your own company. And as they have announced yesterday or day before yesterday, they are also bringing ChatGPT for business version, which will be much more as per the guidelines and regulations in different countries, what you can do, what you can't do. It will be much more restricted in what it can achieve or say. But at the same point in time, you get better data security, more scalability, much faster response time. So you have both advantages and disadvantages. So I hope that answers your question. Then we have another questions on chat window. Is there a way in which that I have shared? Okay, so I think it is done. Great. So now let me continue. with the next part of it. So we have covered some of the use cases, right? Now let's think about a future in which you are trying to replicate yourself in a way. You are looking at creating a model which can replace you because you want to get replaced. You want to enjoy your vacation and your avatar may work. That is what you want. Is that day very near? Answer is maybe not. But is it very far? Again, the answer is no. And that is the scary part. Right? So let's look at what can be done and how it can be done. So there are certain tools available, like let's say DID. This is one such tool, which is there, DID AI, as well as the ready-made tool. If you want, like very quickly, you want to start with, you have Synthesia. Now, such tools, what it allows you to do, you can simply upload your photo at certain angles, and it can create talking avatar, which can do whatever you say. Not only that, it can also clone your voice. It can clone your voice and get exactly the way you are speaking, and it can really identify based on your way of doing work, your way of doing work, as well as based on the data repository and knowledge base that you are providing. Let me share this sound. I think somehow sharing sound is not possible. I hope you are able to hear the sound, right? Panel members can maybe I'd say whether it is audible or not, or in chat window you can say something. Is it audible? The sound is audible. Okay, no, can't hear. Unfortunately, I think I can't see the option to share. Let me see if I share this again, do I get the option? Okay, now I can see the option, but it is disabled. Sharing sound is disabled. Anyways, doesn't matter. Coming to the questions that is there, Chandrasekhar is saying the key to the whole thing is to ask most appropriate question. Correct, Chandrasekhar. That is what I said, that we call that as a prompt engineering. That concept is called prompt engineering or prompting, which is art and science both at the same time. Any other question? Okay. So while I think I can't share the sound, what I can tell you is that you can clone your voice by using tool like Synthesia or DID. You can clone yourself as well. And then, as I said, by providing your knowledge base and the way you typically work, that can really become your digital avatar or digital twin. And you can use that to do certain tasks. In fact, there are multiple people in US, they have started doing that as well. Your avatar can attend a meeting, nobody will even come to know. That is the interesting part. There are certain use cases where this has happened, but this is the future, right? Nobody will even come to know that whether it is the avatar or not, unless until he's a family member, he knows what kind of questions you can answer. Professionally, whatever it is, it can answer very quickly. Coming back to certain things where accounting profession specifically, auditing, right? How it will get impacted further. So when we look at certain scenarios, first of all, creating audit reports. This will become very, very simple. The moment you feed in certain data and you ask it to generate audit report, it can generate audit report in a better manner with the proper template that you provide, and it can generate on the fly. It can do it very quickly. Not only that, but also it can identify that, okay, this was the previous year's audit report. If you want to bring certain items from that, or you want to address certain things, you can do that thing. Again, beyond that, there are certain points related to process automation, control testing. All those things can be done by AI in much, much better manner. Now, this may raise certain questions in your mind, saying that, okay, if something can be done by AI, what will I do then? The answer is very simple. Can AI replace the job? Answer is no, AI will not replace the job, but people who understands the AI can replace the job better. They will be able to do not only the job that they are doing, but also maybe someone else's job. And that is more scary. Same person who understands how to work with AI can replace 5 more people and increase the productivity. That is the reality. And that will happen definitely. And that is the reason CA profession is a skill-based profession. And you will need to ensure that certain things definitely it will not replace immediately. But certain things it will definitely replace. And that is where you may need to make sure you are the person who is capturing that job or somebody else's job, not somebody else capturing your job. And the not only AI training, you can self-learn. There are more than enough resources available free of cost online. But it is more around structured learning and identifying how you can implement that knowledge contextually to your business. That is where you should focus. Whatever learning you do, don't just focus on theory, but try to look at the possibility of integration in your own business and try to correlate that use case with what you can do or what you can achieve. Along with that, let's talk about taxation. Now, this is where most of the people don't know how it can change drastically, right? Most of the times, legal, taxation, these are the items where you need to correlate the knowledge across different circulars, guidelines, case studies, and AI is very good at that. In fact, AI can create and draft complete note on how to defend something or how to present certain things to officer based on the past experience that you have or industry experience. It can give you even further better quality output. So what is required? I will tell you that as a profession, right? I have also told this multiple times that CA Institute will need to work on CA intelligence, right? ICAI, AI knowledge base. The moment you create that knowledge base, CA Institute itself will be able to create a common public good, as we call it, right? Common good. And when we are creating that infrastructure for all the CAs, that becomes very powerful too, because individually, if you fight and put, small SMEs can't do that. Big fours and big fives, whatever we call them, will have enough resources to create their own knowledge base and create certain things. But that is where I think C Institute will play major role to create that sort of public repository of knowledge, which can be used for specific training on ICI knowledge base or CA profession. Not only that, similar to that, it applies to all the other professions. Why not? Legal and company secretarial, all these professions. Along with that, if you are currently having certain process notes in your business, certain best practices that you are using, all those things will become your personal IP, which you will provide to your own model that you will create, fine-tuned model. That model is not used by OpenAI. It is with you, which you can use for different purpose. That will become your IP with your client. That will be, let's say, USP that you have. In future, when you compare one firm with another firm, it will not be on how long they were servicing or what they were doing earlier. It will be on how easy it is to have access to the knowledge. Not only that, how accurate and how quickly you are able to deliver and scale. Today, let's say I'm a chartered accountant. I am chartered accountant, but if I'm into practice and I want to cater to 10 people, I will need to hire 2 more people with me to cater to 10 people or 10 clients. But now with ChatGPT kind of a knowledge base, most of the simple questions can be answered by chatbot. And because of that, I can focus specifically on my practice and I can expand that practice with the efficiency and productivity that can allow me to now cater to 100 customers with the same or better quality, but at the fraction of the cost. So my profit margin goes up, and that is what you need to unlock. Any questions up to this point in time? Chandrasekhar is saying, is it necessary for us to opt for subscription model on ChatGPT? No, not really. Chandrasekhar, as I said, you don't need to opt for ChatGPT at all. In fact, what we are talking about, again, I don't have time to show you that process, but you can Google how to create embedding and how to create a fine-tuned model. when you create a fine-tuned model, let me quickly show it to you. So you have platform.openai.com. This is a separate platform. This is what is used by developer. So if you use this platform, you can create your own set of APIs, by the way. You can see here that I have API keys created. So once you create your API keys, this API key you will use to interact with the ChatGPT model. I don't say ChatGPT because people always use ChatGPT interchangeably with OpenAI, but this is the OpenAI system. If you want further privacy, what you can do, you can use Microsoft Azure OpenAI service, which is, let's say, hosted by you, and you can do all the query with that API endpoint. So you have Azure OpenAI endpoint, right? Now, this is something you can always explore further, and you can integrate directly with this. I hope now you are clear, right? So I can create whatever interface I want. So for example, I have used ChatGPT to create a software, which is this software. This entire software I have created, Study Buddy, because I wanted to demonstrate you can create this. I have used this entire software is created using ChatGPT. Now, if I look at this, let's say skill validator. If I click on this, it will send the request to OpenAI using API, which I already told you. And this is not even ChatGPT interface. This is my own software, which I have created. And this is sending data to OpenAI using API request. And let's say I want to say accounting. Here you go. Now it will say, okay, for this accounting, these are the MCQs. I can answer those MCQs and I will get validated for that skill. So as you will see, now it is going to get the output. And that is what I'm referring to, right? You can see this question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can answer that question, continue. So this becomes your own tool. The next question is, yes, I'm available on LinkedIn. I'm there on LinkedIn. You can ping me on that. That is okay. Any other question, anyone? Okay, coming back to what we are saying. So we have discussed some of the use cases. Now let me come back to the future part, right? Further in future, what you can do, or how you can change certain things, what you can achieve. Now, this is where the cross-industry collaboration will be very useful. And within your industry, as I said, you will create your model, you will create chatbots, whatever it might be. But along with that, you can be using AI, or you will be using AI in a way to work alongside you in terms of agent, as I said. But not only that, there are ways in which you can get certain things done by directly integrating that into your ERP system or your banking system, which is happening, by the way. And by doing so, let's assume, create a scenario where you are on your bank, whatever bank you are using, right? You are saying that, looking at my bank account statement across all the banks, I will repeat, across all the banks, not only your bank, but across all the banks, create the account, books of account, right? Or create the accounting entry. Now, this can be very, very powerful tool. How it is powerful tool and how it can be used. So we have in India something called as account aggregator. Now, many people may not be aware about this. So let me show it to you. Account aggregator. So you have similar to UPI, but useful for sending data rather than amount. Let me show it to you on sahamati.org in. This is the account aggregator ecosystem, empowering Indians with their data for better financial future. How it helps, you can see currently there are how many users which are onboarded. Let's look at this data. And this is following curve, which is similar to UPI. When UPI got launched, it also grew slowly, but very quickly later on. Right? So you can see August 21, it got launched. Today, you have almost 6.05 million users who are using this and how it can be used. So just by providing your account aggregator ID, which looks similar to your UPI ID, you can link multiple accounts and share the data on a real-time basis. I will repeat, you can give the consent and share the accounting data or your bank data on a real-time basis to any software. Now, if you are a chartered accountant and you are, of course, a regulated entity, what you can do, you can either work with a bank or create your own tool, which can connect multiple accounts, multiple bank accounts, multiple, let's say, investment accounts, insurance accounts, etc. together. And then by using AI, you can generate books of accounts. Not only that, you can generate advisory as well. So this will become possible within a year or two, because this is ready. Sahmati is ready. AI is already ready, but to integrate them together and creating that model will take 6 months, 1 year. And once you see that, this will become a common product. Right now it is, let's say, things which are futuristic, but this will be something which is real time, right? Okay, Amit, I have no clue on that. You will need to check with others. But coming back to what we were discussing, let's understand some other ways and means in which you can do that, right? Now, if you are a chartered accountant, you know that you will require invoice discounting services. You may require settlement finance services. Again, AI will be very useful in understanding that immediately using the marketplace. So you have AI-enabled marketplace coming up, which can work with OCAN. Now, what is OCAN? I will show you with Cradle.org. Now, this OCAN ecosystem can work very well with AI model, where you are able to become LSP, loan service provider. As a chartered accountant firm, you can become that. And to your clients, you can share using AI the marketplace opportunities as and when they require it. Because now you are doing their accounting, or you are controlling or handling their accounting, you are able to use AI to automatically trigger certain things, share with them these opportunities, or because you are not agent here, you are broker, you are working for your client. Unlike some commission agent which works for a bank, you are working for your client. So once you become LSP in this, you are, based on the client's requirement, automatically give them the best quote from multiple different financial institutions. And by doing so, you are able to help them out with the complete comprehensive overall financial planning and management. Any questions, anyone, up to this point? So we have around 20-25 minutes remaining. Now, remaining time, because we have so many people, I want you to think about what are the things that you may want to create, or how you may want to use AI, right? And then I will try to answer one by one, because I believe if I can give many more examples, but rather than doing that, it will be helpful if I give you specific example to your requirement. Let's see if you have any questions. I will wait for a couple of minutes. Otherwise, if you don't have any questions, I will continue with more examples. So there is one question: how do we harness power for tech transfers for SMEs? I'm not too clear about what you are trying to ask in the question, because it is not very clear on the requirement. I will try to assume what you are requiring. So, how to harness power for tech transfers for SMEs? I'm still not clear. I'm assuming that you are saying some technology transfer, but I'm not too sure what you are trying to achieve there. Okay, technology transfer requirement for overseas. Typically, what you require there is that, okay, you have certain precedences, you have certain, let's talk about transfer pricing in general, and then you will be able to get some insight from that domain. Because I may not know much about what you are trying to refer to, but I can tell you that let's talk about transfer pricing. You have arm's length price, you have precedences, you have database of transactions, and now you want to identify what's with the right amount or right precedence that I can apply to a given transaction, what kind of arm's length price I can apply. And that is where AI can be very useful. Today, the most lucrative use case is around transfer pricing, right? That is what it is. How I can use transfer pricing, which is more smarter, which I can defend, I can explain, right? There are ethical dilemmas which we will cover very quickly soon. But apart from that, if you are using your own set of knowledge, it will be much more easier for you to convince even the regulators. How to pass accounting entries in any software using AI. So, Chinkit, as I mentioned, you will need to use API or create APIs. There are already certain accounting tools which does this for you by using invoice snapshot or just by dictating it. But if you want to create on your own, you can create APIs. You can hire a developer. You can say that I want to do this. Developer will help you out with APIs, and then you can use directly this interaction or integration in a way to submit your data under the accounting system, whatever it might be. It can be Zoho, or it can be Tally, it can be Zero. Anything can be integrated. Next one is that what is the probability of success buying Wipro? So, Madhav, first of all, the model that we are talking about can give you the vague answer. It will not give you the accurate answer any which ways because it is not trained for this. However, if you want to train your model, which can give you this answer, you will require fine tuning to the existing model. You will give your data set, your strategies, what happened to those strategies, some data set you need to give. And the beauty is that even by giving smaller data set, it can then give you the answer. Now, just to show it to you, right? If you give this, it may not be able to give you direct answer because it is not connected to internet. Let me try to show it to you on Edge browser with Bing API. What happens there? Right? So while it opens, I will give other answer. So live done. Okay, so yes, that is, as I said, can be the master class in future. So the answer is done. Preparing financial reporting using AI. Just think it. That can be done, as I said, right? So you can in fact create accounting report or auditing report, to be frank, using the AI directly. That can be done as well. Let me share with you one example. Let's say I'm trying to ask AI, because this can cover real-time data. I'm going to use this. Let us open this. While this loads, let me answer a few more questions. Can I create dashboard in Excel for my client master database? It depends on what kind of dashboard you want. But interestingly, now you are going to see, even for Office, there are certain plugins which are coming, right? So Microsoft officially is creating Copilot. If you look at this, Microsoft itself is creating Copilot, which will be within the Excel as well, or Word or PowerPoint. It can help you with multiple things. Let me show you a small video for that. While there may not be any sound, you will understand what I'm talking about. So here we go. So this is Office Copilot. This is in Word, but now you will see Excel soon. Let me go to Excel. This is PowerPoint. This is the Excel which I was talking about. You can analyze the data, get this done. Okay, you got the idea, right? So I hope that answers your question. Then somebody is saying, Chandrasekhar is saying matchmaking type of business. Yes, that is a recommendation engine, and you can definitely do that as well. In fact, you can right now also upload your entire database of contacts and ask AI to give you a match for a given purpose. So in fact, I have created a solution which can tell you for your requirement who is the right contact to connect to. So let's say you want to buy something or you want to connect with someone else who can help you out. You can even get that kind of answer. How it is done? You can, as I said, create embeddings for your CSV file or Excel file, and then you can ask question on, I want to do, let me demonstrate that very quickly, right? Again, as I said, how to do this completely is beyond the program scope, but let me give you some idea around how you can do it or what it may look like. So this is the first step or 0th step in looking at the vector database. So you upload your data. In this case, let's say I have uploaded my contacts, LinkedIn contacts, and I can ask questions like in neural network, which I have trained, I can ask English language question. Who should I contact contact for raising venture capital? Let's say this is my question, right? Now, first step, what happens? It identifies that, okay, this guy is the right person, and you pass on this vector data to AI to give you the output. So AI will give you the output in normal English-like language that, okay, you should contact 1, 2, 3. And that is how the answer will be. So your matchmaking question is answered. That this becomes the backend for your AI. The front end will be, again, OpenAI's chat GPT. It can be anything and everything. It can be Excel file as well. So for example, I have created Excel file which can do certain things. I will show you that later very quickly, but yeah, that can be done as well. There are certain questions on chat window as well. Will you provide us the recording? As I said, not on my control. How can AI be used for audit? I covered that. Can we create AI with transfer data from client database reading analytical info? Okay, I think this is also answered. Save time and manpower, correct. On the Q&A, then we have preparing financials. I said yes, done. Can do that. How can I create dashboard in Excel? I mentioned that as well. Then we have which website you mentioned for uploading PDF for machine learning. So Rahul, couple of websites. One is getcody.ai. I'm answering that getcody.ai, and I've done that. I've shared that with you. Or you can use chatpdf.com. That is also available. There are multiple free tools, but it is free for certain limit, right? Because they also need to pay the bill. So let's say you have 500 pages, 1000 pages, it is free up to that point. After that, you will pay some small amount. How to use AI for any audit? Urvi, what happens there is that, as I said, right, you can use for multiple different purposes. Don't think of audit as a simple task, right? You need to subdivide it for any task. When you say how to use for audit, that becomes a vague question. Now, even when you think about it, you need to subdivide the task. How to use AI for audit report, how to use AI for control testing, how to use AI for substantive testing, how to use AI for XYZ. And when you do that, you are summarizing or subdividing the question, you are dissecting the larger question. And then, as I said, you can create a subtask. For that subtask, now you can create a prompt which can help you with the output. That is how you need to approach the question. As I said, there are so many use cases that you can refer to, but it depends on what exactly you want to do within audit as well. So generic answer I can give for generic question in general, but I have covered audit report, how to do that. Any other questions? Okay, so for example, it can be, as I said, integrated. It can be integrated directly within the Excel as well. So for example, I'm creating here some of the things. Let's say I want to generate curriculum. I can generate using this. Create activity metrics. I can do that as well. So for example, things to read, things to watch, things to explore. It is creating on the fly. And Now this thing, as I said, you can do with the help of APIs, right? So how you can do certain things, let's say a virtual survey, and I'm setting up the survey. So I can create virtual respondent by asking it to create random persona for this, right? I can do all those things. But I wanted you to understand that in Excel, when you are bringing certain things, right, what you are able to do, you are able to work within the familiar environment. So I have created another entity or persona, and based on that, I can now ask that persona to answer my survey. And I can also verify what is going on, who is giving what kind of answer, and then I can compare this data with the real world data by asking to the real world people as well and try to compare whether statistically it is different or not. There are multiple use cases that I can look at, but just imagine that you are using this on the trial balance, and on trial balance you are asking certain questions, and then it can give you the insight. You can do analysis on the trial balance directly by asking questions on Excel data that you can do, as I said, using embeddings and APIs. There is one question, again, Charmi, I don't know. Any other questions? As I said, I want to make it more for you guys rather than just showing what I can do and what all you can do as well. I want to make sure that you can ask relevant questions from your side, and I can give you, based on that use case, certain ways in which you can do that. At least point you to the right direction. And maybe if you are interested, you can always go for the longer version of program if required, but you can do your own research, identify the opportunity yourself, and for most of you, it might be good enough. So in case you have more questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I will go to the ethical part of AI. There's one question. Do you have an example where AI is used to analyze stock market price actions analysis and based on last few years of data? Yes, definitely. And in fact, there are plugins which are going to come. And this was also shown by OpenAI themselves, that you can look at the plugins, ask the questions from the data, but I will point you to the right direction. So there is one open source data similar to Bloomberg. You have OpenBB. Now let's look at OpenBB terminal. This is the OpenBB, Open Bloomberg. This is what it is. And now they are creating Open Bloomberg, OpenBB bot, which can help you with this, right? So I'm just telling you, this is the option for you. You can do your own research further in terms of how to use this, because otherwise this becomes entire session for OpenBB. So you got the idea. Then there is another question. So I have given this anonymous attendee's answer. Then there is a question on, please name the sources from where we can learn more about AI ChatGPT. Again, this is a generic question, right? I have told you that if you are asking the specific question, like what the earlier question was, I have given you this reference. And whatever reference I am giving in general are for everyone. If you are asking some specific question, I can give you specific reference, right? So just open a ChatGPT. If you ask that, you can just Google it, to be frank. But if you want some specific solution, that is where I can tell you where to go. So in this case, if you want stock price analysis using AI, etc., you can explore OpenBB. Nagesh, if you have similar question, feel free to ask. I want specific question. Don't ask me vague questions, because then it's the same thing, right? If AI can't help you with that, even human can't help you with that. You need to be somewhat precise with your question. Okay, so I will give you 30 more seconds if you have any questions on what we have covered. Otherwise, I will move on to the ethical part. Now, this is where the next part comes into picture. Looks like no more questions. The next part around how to make it responsible AI. Now, this becomes the talk of the town, responsible AI. Under the responsible AI, the thing that we are worried about, right? Of course, we need to think about responsible AI, but things that we should be more worried about is one part of that called explainable AI, or what we call as XAI. explainable AI means that the AI model might be very advanced, amazingly powerful, magical, but regulator will not agree that, okay, you are using some AI. Regulator will need to work with the reasoning, with the predictable output, and it will need to work with something which they can also defend, right? Think like this: if somebody is suing you for something which happens, you should be able to justify why you used what you used and how you used it. Till the time you are able to do that, you are safe. So how to achieve that, right? There are ways in which you can achieve this. This is what we call as XAI, or making sure your model is explainable. Let's look at one example. I'm giving you one simple example. There are more examples. So let's say you have created your AI model, and this AI model will decide whether to give loan or not. Now, if I look at as a loan officer, you will understand what we are talking about. So let's assume you have two person. One is Alice, which is approved by AI model, and then you have Robert, who is denied by AI model. So if I click on Alice, why this was approved, so you will see now it is explaining why this was approved, right? And here you can even see the detail that this Alice is similar to Mia. You have Kate and Sela, and this is the outcome. So Alice, the outcome is not yet known, but because she is similar to the cluster of people who has paid in past, that's why the loan is approved. Vis-a-vis Robert, for whom the loan is denied, he is falling into the bucket of someone who is defaulting, and that is the reason you are rejecting that loan. This is what we call as explainable AI. Not only that it is able to give you the output result, but also it is able to tell you why that result is given, right? You can make sure that the result is something which you can defend. Otherwise, regulator can always tell you this is wrong, or somebody can sue you. Another point comes, which is removing bias. Again, such models can help you remove the bias as well. What kind of bias you typically have? You have, let's assume, more female than male, or more male than female, more elderly people or more young people. All these things are biased. You need to equate certain things. That is where again it is useful to remove such biases. There are ways and means in which you can remove the bias. Again, it is beyond the scope of this discussion, but remember to remove the bias because it is data in and data or result out. So if the garbage is going in, you will get garbage out. Make sure your data is clean, your data is free of biases, then only you can rely on the output. And that being said, using XAI or explainable AI, you can always justify to the regulator why you are doing what you are doing. And all the regulator, including RBI, SEBI, etc., they always look at something like this, right? Even MCA, for that matter, will look at the precedences where you should be able to justify why something was approved or rejected, or why certain things was done or not done. Okay, coming back to some of the questions which I can see here on the chat window. Can we get draft formats policy? Arti, you can get it. In fact, there are ways in which you can generate something on the fly. You can ask it a question, more nuanced question, and it can give you the answer, right? So let me give you a simple example. If you don't know how to type nuanced query, you can always look at something like prompt-perfect.gina.ai, and using such questions, you can simply ask a basic question and it will make it more nuanced so that you can get the better answer. So let's say I can ask, create a simple audit report for Parley Products Limited as per Indian accounting standard. Now, this is a very simple prompt that I am giving. There are observations. I'm just giving something very quickly. So now it is using the original prompt, and now it will try to enhance the prompt so that I can get the better output. You will see the output will come once it is optimizing the prompt, and you will see the original prompt output and the optimized prompt output. It may take some time, but you will get your answer. So Chandrasekhar is saying we have seen people predicting stock prices on model. Yes, as I said, I have given you the option. In fact, you can do the stock price prediction, but you will need to upload your data, or you can connect it to the internet using APIs. Then only you can do it. If you create APIs, then it can consume the real world data. Otherwise, you can't do that, right? If you want, you can even ask this agent. You can say price prediction bot, right? Let's talk about creating a price prediction bot. I'll save this, say that price prediction bot. You are required to predict the price of Reliance is dead on 30th May 2023 based on technical and fundamental analysis. Now you can even ask these questions easily, right? Now the moment I do this, it is now running, it will create task and it will give you the answer. But as I'm saying, if you want to make it more effective, you will need to work with APIs. That way you can create your own model, which will work very fast. So here you can see it will generate the task, collect historical data, analyze the technical indicators such as moving average, relative strength index, Bollinger Bands, so on and so forth. So you got the idea, it can do that for you. But at the same point in time, if you want to create a specific AI, right? This is called AGI, artificial general intelligence, in a way where you can do anything. You can just ask certain things, it can do that. The same point in time, if you want to create a narrow intelligence, you need to give more training on that data. So general intelligence may not work very well or as well as specific intelligence, right? Or narrow intelligence. So you may want to fine tune your model based on that requirement. How did you create a software? Which software? I don't know. Sorry, so I can't give you the answer. I have shown you a number of software, but which software you are referring to, I don't know. We have seen people predicting. I answered that. Chandrasekhar. Okay, coming back to the chat window, there are certain questions on that. As I have heard in the beginning webinar, physical seminar tomorrow. Okay, I frankly am not going to be able to answer that question, Jignesh. From your experience, which is a better OpenAI platform? What do you mean by better OpenAI platform? I'm not able to understand your question, because OpenAI is a company and it gives you the tool. ChatGPT is a platform given by OpenAI. There is no other official software available beyond ChatGPT as such. So when you say better OpenAI platform, I'm not able to understand that question. Response time and focus one. As I said, there is only one official OpenAI software available. In a way, either through APIs you can use through platform.openai.com. That is the official developer API-based integration that you can do, or you can use the official chat.openai.com, and this is another official platform. There are no other official platforms available. Every other platform will either use the API or they will work on the top of OpenAI. For example, one of the tools that you might have seen when I'm copy pasting some data, for example, let's say I'm copy pasting this data, you will see immediately use ChatGPT as a pop-up. Now this is again using the OpenAI itself, but it is a plugin or extension that I've installed in the Chrome. So this kind of extension you can use, which can enhance your productivity wherever you are. You can just mark it. For example, there is another one which I can highlight certain things, and it can use AI to then answer certain questions based on the notes that I have taken. So I can use certain plugins to enhance my productivity. I can always do my research, I can select certain things, and then I can create a repository of the notes that I have taken, and then I can ask the question to that note, right? Those things are always possible. Okay, so we are almost towards the end of the session. Can you show draft format answer? Aarti is asking, can you show draft format answer? Okay, coming back to this, I think you are referring to this. So this is the prompt, right? So this is the prompt that you have. This is the optimized prompt. And I can copy this prompt and show you the output. This is the original prompt output, and this is the optimum or optimized prompt output. You can also try it on your own, right? Of course. This is a direct response. This is with the optimized. Where to create repository of the research and documents for easy reference. Again, as I said, look, either you want to create, if the document is very private, I would recommend you to create your own personal solution, which is hosted by you, controlled by you. Or if this is going to be like, okay, not that critical of information, you can always use getcody kind of a tool, which I have demonstrated earlier, like this one, getcody.ai. Let me see if that learning on AS is finished. Accounting standard. Should be done by now. Let's see. Yeah, so it is, there's a failure for that. I need to maybe retrain. Anyways, coming back to this. Okay. Not many questions I can see. Great. So I guess that's it. As I mentioned, if you have any questions in last 5 minutes, I can take them. Otherwise, we can end the session.
Sure. Vikram sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think no. I think we'll just check up if there are questions more. No, I think.
Yeah, no, I think I have answered all the questions that way.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
I think definitely, Vikram sir. I think it was an amazing, outstanding session. I think we are very glad, first of all, to let know just participants. This is one of the first, session on Tech Edge. We've started a Tech Edge series on Thursday. That's Thursdays with Technology. And the first session itself, Vikram sir, thank you so much for accepting this invitation.
I have given questions. Sorry, so I'm just answering a couple of questions.
Yeah.
There are questions in Q&A. I have given those answers. So Q&A questions, I have answered all of them. So
Yes.
that is what I'm telling you. Please continue. Over to you.
Sure. Definitely, sir. Thank you so much, participants. I think we've started, just for your update, at WRC, we've started Technologies with Thursday and Technology with Thursdays sessions. I think every month we're going to have this Tech Edge series. Please keep updated yourself at the website or the WRC social media pages all across. And thank you so much, Vikram sir, for being a faculty for this amazing session. And I think you've answered all the questions right at the Q&A box, the chat box. And it was quite an interesting session. Though I kept the video off, but I was listening. And I'm going to be re-seeing the entire recording as well, which was there. So thank you so much, all the participants, for being there. And thank you so much, Vikram sir, for once again for accepting the invitation for the session. For participants, the recording of the entire session will be available on the WRC YouTube channel. So in case if you've missed any part because of maybe the network, you can definitely view it. And in case of anything, please write to us at wrc@ici.in. We'll be happy to help you. Thank you so much, Vikram sir, once
Thanks,
again,
and bye,
and all
everyone.
the participants. Thank you, sir.